Hello and welcome to Rebrand Everything. Can you guess what we're going to be rebranding today?
So the current Snapchat logo is a little ghost icon. It's a white ghost with a black outline around it which helps it stand out on the bright yellow background. I've been using Snapchat for a few years now, but I never knew what the ghost logo actually meant or symbolised. So I did a little bit of googling and found out that it symbolises the impermanent nature of the pictures and video taken on the app. You can view it once or twice and then it's gone forever, which is pretty cool and pretty fitting. And also there's a few more little facts about the ghost icon that I didn't know that are kind of interesting. The ghost is called Ghostface Chiller, which is based on Ghostface Killer from the Wu-Tang Clan. And also Snapchat was originally called Peekaboo and used a similar ghost icon, but it had a face on it. I also found out that the ghost icon was drawn out by Evan Thomas Spiegel, who is the CEO of Snapchat, and he said that he drew the white ghost-shaped figure that makes the disposable messaging app so distinctive on his computer in just one evening. So pretty good going. Quite like Twitter, they don't actually have a word mark that goes with the icon, but then when I actually think about it, you only use Snapchat on a phone or a tablet, so when Snapchat is just a mobile app, all you need really is an icon because the name's underneath anyway. Although I like the current Snapchat branding, I kind of feel like it's getting a little bit dated. Just there's a few little extra details in the ghost icon that I think maybe we could just clean up and streamline a little bit. Also, I'm not entirely sure about the use of the black stroke around the ghost. I think it's the requirement that you have to use the black stroke around the ghost to make it stand out. I just think there might be a better way of showing that. Or it might just be a case of thickening that line up so it becomes a real design feature rather than looking more like a drop shadow or just something that's used to hold the white off of the yellow background. We'll see what we can do. I think the current Snapchat branding is really simple, strong and memorable, which is really good. Definitely something I need to think about when we're rebranding this so that we don't make something that's completely unrecognisable. Before we get started with the rebrand, I just wanted to say thanks to all the new subscribers and everyone that's pressed like on these videos. We hit the 100 subscribers milestone, which is wicked. And just about an hour before recording this, I got a notification on my phone saying that we've hit 2,000 views, which is another good milestone. If you're not subscribing already, but you enjoy the videos, just make sure you press subscribe and put the little bell on. So after research, I did start drawing out some ideas, but then I found myself jumping straight into Illustrator anyway. So I'll show you what I drew out, but bear in mind that these were drawn out in tandem with my Illustrator developments, so that's why some of them look so developed and some of them look so basic. So jumping into Illustrator, we're doing the same as usual. We've prepped up a little document just with the existing brand on. On the left we've got the Apple icon and on the right the Android variant. Started out just by duplicating the icon and just playing around with what's already there just to see if we can get any strong brands from that. Started looking at removing the stroke and strengthening the yellow a little bit just so that we get that contrast that you need without using the stroke. And I started looking at fattening up that stroke and using the curved stroke as opposed to the sharp one, just because I think sometimes that can give it a nicer, more modern, smooth look. I started looking at adjusting the paths of the current ghost icon to remove some of the extra detail. To make sure both sides were equal, what I was doing is drawing one side, duplicating that, flipping it, and then just joining the paths top and bottom, just so I don't have to try and match up the paths both sides, which started looking alright, but then as soon as I put the eyes on, I suddenly thought it looks like one of them stormtrooper masks out of Star Wars, so I kind of went off the idea. I made a little shocked face icon just to give it a little bit more interest, just like instead of just a little normal smiley face, something a little bit different. I started thinking about the actual name of the app, Snapchat, and started thinking about little chat bubbles with the ghost inside. So I started making little text message bubble icons and putting the ghost inside. So we're still using the ghost concept, but inside a chat bubble, but I'm not sure whether we're just adding stuff for the sake of it on these options, but still like to explore them. Sometimes it's good to explore, even though I know an option is not going to work in my head, I still explore it just because sometimes it ignites new ideas. I started looking at some much more simplified ghost icons with a round head, rectangle body and some basically spikes on the bottom. They're a little bit like Pac-Man ghosts. I think with a little bit of adjustment they could turn into a nice icon that we can use. Snapchat also has this very famous filter where you open your mouth like that and then these wavy rainbows come out. I'd say that's just about as famous and recognisable as the actual ghost icon and the yellow colour itself. So I thought that might be a good thing to look at for the branding. Also started looking at another idea, which was basically, it's kind of two ideas in one. It's a timer, because obviously you've got a limited amount of time to see the message. and also like a burst as if something's just disappeared, or a bubble popping. And then I decided to put a circle inside that to maybe show like a cartoon eye or maybe the lens of a camera. But it started to look a little bit too much just like a generic sun icon instead of what I was actually thinking in my head. Then I started looking at turning the circular cartoon eyeball into a text message icon, kind of like the WhatsApp icon, I guess. I typed out just a few little words just to keep the ideas rolling. As I was thinking of things, I just thought I'd write them down so that I don't forget them in the development process. That is a little bit hot. I started fiddling around with a few more ideas, but they didn't really turn out to much, but I thought I'd leave it in the video anyway, just to show that not every idea that you think of works. I wanted to develop up that simple ghost icon that looks a little bit like the Pac-Man ghosts, a little bit further, so I started playing with that and introducing a little face on there just to give it a little bit of cheeky character. I think that looks looking alright, not the best, but it's getting there. But I think by adding that cheeky little face to the ghost, you're kind of in danger of it being a little bit too small on the app icon. But I think as long as we keep it all quite big and bold and no tiny little details, then I think we'll be okay. I started looking at introducing the rainbow mouth filter into the actual icon, but I think it's overcomplicating it a little bit and will make it hard to show on some lower resolution screens. Had a little look at revisiting the more free-flowing ghost icon. Had another little play around with the burst icon to see if we could make it look like a camera lens in the middle of the actual burst or the timer. As I thought, it's kind of like triple meaning then, like a burst for the disappearing, a timer because it's on a time limit when you actually click to view the image, and the camera lens in the middle obviously because it's a camera based app. I also wanted to have another little play with some other ideas that aren't anything to do with the ghost or aren't anything particularly symbolic. Maybe just take the S and play with that, because obviously it's the first letter of the word Snapchat. I thought that on a solid black background with the rainbow colours going through it could be a nice tie. It's still quite fun and playful like the Snapchat brand. So maybe their multiple colour swishes could start being used across different parts of their menu, different parts of the app, something like that. So I started playing around with the idea of creating a like triple meaning icon. So an eyeball on the left, a timer on the right, but the timer is also kind of like when something disappears and you do the little cartoon burst. So I was just looking at different ways of making that work, trying to give it that nice modern iconic look without making it too complicated so you can't really tell what's going on, because it's trying to shoehorn quite a few ideas into one tiny little icon. I thought that the ghost icon that I'd drawn earlier had some good potential, but I just think how it was drawn was a little bit sort of thrown together. So I pulled up the grids in Illustrator and turned on Snap to Grid, and that helped me just redraw it in a much more consistent and solid way. I find that by working to the grid, it just gives it that good solid sort of geometric look. Makes you keep it simple. You can't go adding tiny little details in there. Because you're snapping to that grid, it's like you've limited down your choices of where you can put certain points, which just makes you design a little bit differently and design within them confines, and quite often it looks pretty cool and a lot more neat and tidy than when you're just doing it freehand. I was pretty happy with our new simplified ghost icon. I just thought the face could do with being a little bit cheekier, so I just turned the two eyes that were just circles, just turned the left hand side one into a little closed eye, little wink, just a little bit more cheeky. As the little ghost icon we made looked quite like the Pac-Man ghosts, I kind of got the feeling like that might be good enough reason that they would never use it anyway. And also thought that a lot of people, it's the first thing they're going to think, and the first thing they're going to say is, oh, you just ripped off the Pac-Man ghosts. So I decided to make another little ghost icon. It kind of started in the sketchbook as like an S shape, so the top of the ghost is like the top right hand side of the S, and then it sweeps down, but then in reality it kind of looked messy when I was actually trying to make that happen. So I just thought this little sweeping ghost that comes from sort of a point bottom left and like looks like it's coming towards where you can see. I thought that might work quite nicely, and it's just another little take on the ghost icon, still a lot cleaner than the current one. Still all made on the grid in Illustrator, so it's all neat and tidy and all the spacing's perfect. And again, that's got the face on it, so you can give it the cheeky little wink or the shocked face, just to add a little bit of character in there. Here I was looking at some message icons and then maybe using a dashed line to show that they're temporary. But I think the concept was a little bit weak, to be honest, but I just was playing around with it just to see if anything nice came out of it. Sometimes when you combine two concepts like the burst and the text message, it might just suddenly work, but I don't think it really worked on that one. All worth a look. Started playing around with putting an actual, like a timer hand in there to show it was like a clock or a timer countdown. But I feel like that was a little bit too complicated for an icon that's going to be seen at about 2 centimeters wide, so just moved on to the next one. I thought that the best way of combining the timer icon and the eye was this version here, as it was a lot clearer and a lot more simple than when I was dividing it in half and showing the timer one side and the eye the other. Now the only reason I'm leaving this bit of the process in is because it actually turned out hilarious. I started looking at a completely different idea where we do have a word mark and we put snap and then chat underneath, and we have these boxes. What I didn't realise until the last minute was when you just look at the yellow boxes, it actually says chat. So I just thought that was hilarious and I thought I'd leave that in. Obviously it's not going to make it to our final options, but if you imagine if Snapchat actually did rebrand to this logo, it would be hilarious seeing the comments on social media. I think that might cause more of a stir than the Zara logo being a little bit too tight. Shat Knap. Okay, so I think that's pretty much it for our Illustrator process. If you're enjoying this video so far, remember to press like, and if you're not enjoying it, don't press dislike, just press like instead, because it's just better. So I've chosen a few of my favourite options and made a little start screen as well, just to show how it might look extending into the actual app. Remember to let me know your favourite in the comments below, and also if you've got any feedback on these videos, just let me know, because I'm trying to make each one better each week, and I can only do that if I get feedback from the people watching them. So that's wicked. Cheers.